Hey class. Okay, today we're going to talk about something a little different. We've been talking about shapes and geometry, polygons, quadrilaterals, triangles, and we're going to keep working with those, but we're also going to add in a little bit of measurement, and we're measuring length. So we're talking inches, feet, yards, and miles for the most part. So up on our anchor chart, I have written mathematicians convert among measurements of length to clearly compare size. Because if we don't have everything in inches, it's really hard to see which one's longer or which one's shorter. Same thing with like yards. If we don't have everything in the same measurement, it's really hard to compare which one's greater, which one's smaller. So we're going to look at some examples, but first, let's identify how long an inch is, how long a foot is, and things like that. So 1 inch, no, I want to say 12 inches equals how many feet? 12 inches equals 1 foot. 1 foot. And then if we go a little bit bigger, 3 feet equals, so if we have 3 rulers, that would equal 1 yard. So really, I'm going to say over here, so 36 inches equals 1 yard. And I got 36 inches because I did 12 inches times 3, because I'm talking 3 feet. That would give me how many inches are in a yard. 12 inches times 3 feet, that would be 36 inches in 1 yard. We'll get to that if you want to kind of skip a step, 36 inches into 1 foot. That'd be an easy one there. So now I want to actually, well, let's do one more. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. That's a lot of feet. These are the most basic lengths and conversions that we're going to look at. This is basically all you'll need to know. I'd like to actually draw up here. I've got a ruler. The ruler has 12 inches. I want to actually draw, I'm going to do it kind of up and down, from here to here. Let's see, so that equals 1 inch. Kind of looks like an eye. And then I'm going to go down and draw a foot. There's 1 foot, or 12 inches. And then actually it works out really, really perfectly. This entire chart, from top to bottom here, is 35 inches. And a yard is 36 inches. So this chart is basically 1 inch shy of being a yard. So we're going to just call this chart an entire yard. So I think I have room over here to actually do that. I'm going to start all the way at the top, and I'm going to draw as straight as line as I can. Look, I already got crooked. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and again, it's 1 inch shy, but whatever, it's close, equals 1 yard. Okay, so now the only other thing I'd like to put on here is, how am I supposed to remember if I multiply times 12, or if I'm going to divide by 3 when you're given a problem? We're going to look at a couple examples like that. So if I have, let's do orange, if I've got inches, let's see, how do I do this? Let's draw this box first. Okay, so if I'm going from inches and then to feet, I'm going to divide by 12. Like if the question says, how many inches are in, well, no, that would be backwards. Okay, so if you have inches, so if it says, how many feet are in 48 inches, then you would divide by 12. And then if we're going to yards, if you have a problem that says, I have 36 feet, how many yards is that? Well, there are 3 feet in a yard, so this time I would divide by 3 to get yards. And then to go from yards to miles, which we really don't do very often, you would divide by 1,760. But you really never see any problems like that. Then if we're going the other way, if the problem gives us feet and we're going to inches, so this is what I was saying earlier. So if I have 3 feet, how many inches? Well, there are 12 inches in a foot. So this time I would multiply by 12. I'm going from big, a foot, to inches, which are little. I'm going to multiply because it's going to take more inches to fill up the length of those feet. Then if they give me yards, let's say the problem says I have 6 yards. How many feet is that? Well, there are 3 feet in a yard, so I would multiply times 3. Then for miles, if they say I have, 2 miles, how many yards would that be? We're going to multiply by the same thing we would have divided by. Multiply by 1,760. So now let's look at a couple examples. Okay, so I said a few. Let's see how many is red. Let's stick with, examples. Let's say the problem says I have 48 inches equals how many feet? 48 inches equals how many feet? So I could picture this chart. I'm starting with inches, and I'm going to feet. So I'm looking at this top arrow. Inches are really, really small. Feet are a lot bigger. So it's not going to take as many feet as it will inches. So I have to divide by 12. So in my head, I'm going to divide by 12. Maybe I'll do that in a different color. So 48 divided by 12. That's going to give me 4 feet. So I'll put that in black too. So 4 feet. Okay, let's say that we have a problem. If they give me 3 yards equals how many feet? So this time I'm going from yards to feet. Yards are really, really, really big. They're the size of this anchor chart. And feet are smaller. So it's going to take a lot of rulers to measure this anchor chart. So that means I'm going to have to multiply. I'm going from big to small. So if I'm going from yards to feet, that arrow says multiply times 3. So again, I'll write my little work off to the side. That would be 3 yards times, there are 3 feet in each yard. So that would take 9 feet. Let's do one more example. If I've got 4 feet equals how many inches? So again, picturing. I'm going from a larger measure, feet, to a smaller measure, inches. So it's going to take a lot more inches to fill up 4 rulers or 4 feet. So I'm going to multiply because I need a lot of inches. So what am I going to multiply? Well, there are 12 inches in a foot. I've got 4 feet. So off to the side, I'm going to show 12 times 4. Oh, which is right up there. Oops, I should have done a different example. So today you're going to copy this down, and we're going to be working with measurements in length. We've seen them on the Math Our Way, on the Math Our Way lately. And we'll get to other measurements like liquid measurements and metric measurements like meters and liters and those kinds of things. But for right now, we're going to stick with inches, feet, yards, and miles. You're going to do some practice problems, so enjoy.